us what are Chinese companies what are they doing here that's different from what they've done in the past?
Well, in 2005, CNOOC came in and tried to buy Unocal, and that caused a political uproar. There was a lot of angst in Washington over the deal, and they kind of, once they found out the deal was going to be delayed, they walked away from it. They've since come back under the leadership of Chengyu, who's now with Sinopec, and they've realized that they can come in quietly and buy kind of minority interests in U.S. oil fields, non-operating interests. They don't get the oil and gas. They don't even have workers on site. It's almost strictly a financial play.
Well, Ryan, this all sounds like a very Cold War espionage sort of initiatives. I mean, is Mr. Fus' latest initiatives likely to spur some kind of an uproar, or is he flying under the radar sufficient that no one's going to notice?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he hasn't. There's been plenty of time. The government certainly had an opportunity to review these transactions, much like they were going to or may have in 2005. The thing here is that, you know, the U.S. independent companies, they discovered the shale fields. They spent a huge amount of money buying up acreage and drilling them, proving them out. And it's a very capital-intensive business. You know, one well can cost $9–10 million. So they really need capital. And that's kind of the first time back in the U.S. it was from Chesapeake going to Asia and seeking investors. So they were almost invited to the table this time around.
But technology and technology transfer is a big issue in China, and we hear a lot about companies going to China and being concerned about going into these joint ventures and having to hand over information about what they're doing, new techniques, new technologies for their business. Is that what's happening here, or is this strictly a financial investment on the part of the Chinese partners?
You know, it's more financial investment. Of course, they're going to learn things like how to manage a shale field. China has, by some estimates, more shale gas reserves than the U.S. and Canada. But as far as technology transfer, I mean, you know, one of the things people often forget is, you know, the Chinese National Oil Company can go out and hire Halliburton or Baker Hughes or someone like that to show them how to do this work. They can partner with a Chevron or a Devon or a Chesapeake, and you know, if they want to learn how, they can certainly do that. So I don't think it's as much of an issue in terms of technology transfer. In fact, in one case, Chinese companies, national companies, are negotiating with a company out of Fort Worth called FTS, a hydraulic fracking company, to do a kind of a joint venture to help them expand so that they can work in China. Baker Hughes, the Houston Oilfield Service Company, in the fourth quarter participated in China's first shale oil well. So I don't think it's as much a matter of technology, maybe management know-how and development techniques, but not trade secrets per se, or the sort of things that people have been concerned with in other sectors.
And yet, Ryan, are the Chinese also, with these investments, are they able to tap into the wherewithal to feed their growing energy consumption? I mean, the Chinese middle class are emerging as car buyers. Obviously they require, a little gas in the tank.
Right. Yeah, certainly. I mean, they're learning how to do this. They're gaining some expertise, but they're also, by helping the U.S. produce more, they're keeping global prices down by just basically, boosting the supply worldwide. And oil's a global market, so in theory that helps keep the prices down and the oil closer to home that they're buying to refine and consume.
And you mentioned, Ryan, that these companies that the Chinese companies are buying into often end up being advocates. In your story, you mentioned how they end up. Do they go to Washington and sort of smooth things over? Is that even necessary?
Well, one thing that Chesapeake did that was interesting is if you go to Chesapeake's campus in Oklahoma City, you'll find Norwegian workers and French workers from Statoil and Total who Chesapeake has similar joint ventures with. You won't find anybody from CNOOC because they specifically excluded something that the oil industry calls secondment, which is like a temporary assignment of workers from one company to another. And they specifically did that. And Chesapeake CEO Aubrey McClendon said that they did that with, easing nerves at CFIUS, the agency in the U.S. that vets foreign investment in U.S. companies. And so it was a very deliberate move to kind of keep them at kind of arm's length, to help, whether that was a deciding factor or not, who knows, but it was certainly done with that intention.